The atmosphere at the studio was unusually electric that evening as the audience filtered in for another taping of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Everyone knew tonight's guest was Hollywood royalty, Meryl Streep herself, and expectations were sky high. Producers buzzed with excitement behind the scenes. Kimmel, known for his sharp but usually lighthearted style, was ready with his cue cards, expecting to tread the line between admiration and playful provocation. Meryl, entering backstage with her signature grace, wore a calm smile, unaware that the night would derail in a way no one could have predicted. The opening went as expected. Laughter, applause, and a montage of Streep's most iconic roles. But the mood began to shift when Kimmel introduced a segment titled Legends Under Fire, teasing it as a light roast. Meryl's brow subtly furrowed as a montage played, poking fun at her activism and labeling her Hollywood's political queen. When the camera cut back to her, the smile was gone. The crowd sensed the tension, but it was only the beginning. Kimmel, misreading the moment, leaned in with a smirk. Meryl, you've played a nun, a witch, and a prime minister. But when you're off screen, some people say you're still acting, especially when it comes to politics. It was meant to be cheeky, but Meryl took a long pause before answering. Is that supposed to be a joke, Jimmy? She asked, her voice cool and clear. The audience chuckled nervously, unsure of her tone. Kimmel tried to recover, gesturing lightheartedly. Come on, Meryl, you know we love you, it's all in fun. But her expression didn't soften. It's not fun when people reduce a lifetime of work to punchlines, she said. The room quieted. Jimmy backpedaled, trying to turn the tide. Hey, I didn't mean to offend, just trying to keep things light. But something had shifted in Meryl. She wasn't here to be mocked under the guise of banter. Kimmel, in an attempt to salvage the segment, pivoted to audience questions, introducing a pre-screened video question from a viewer asking, "Do you think actors should just act and keep their opinions off the stage?" Meryl laughed, not warmly but sharply. You know what's funny? She began. Nobody says that to businessmen who bankroll candidates or to tech CEOs shaping public opinion daily. But when an actor has a thought, suddenly we're overstepping. Her voice had an edge now, and even Kimmel could see he'd lost control of the narrative. Meryl, you know I agree with a lot of what you say. He tried to interject, but she wasn't done. No, Jimmy, I don't think you do. I think you agree when it's convenient or trendy. But the minute it makes your sponsors nervous, it becomes a joke segment. The audience, now riveted, stayed silent. Kimmel fidgeted in his chair, clearly regretting the direction of the show. What followed was not scripted, and no cue card could redirect it. Meryl leaned forward and delivered what would become the most replayed moment of the night. You don't invite me here to talk. You invite me here to perform. But I'm not a puppet for your ratings. If you wanted a clown, you should have called someone else. The gasp from the studio audience was audible. Kimmel, visibly stung, said, all right, maybe this wasn't the best idea. Meryl stood up slowly. No, it wasn't, she said. And I don't intend to stay where I'm not respected. Kimmel tried to maintain composure, but the energy had turned fully against him. A producer could be seen off stage, motioning frantically as cameras tried to keep up. Security didn't escort her, she wasn't kicked out in a traditional sense. But the language online the next morning would make it seem that way. Kimmel, after a brief pause and a sheepish smile, said to the camera, well, I guess Meryl had better things to do. The audience clapped hesitantly. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation began circulating. Social media platforms exploded. Some praised Meryl for standing her ground while others criticized her for overreacting. Hashtags like Trying Streep Storm and Trying Kimmel Clash trended for days. News outlets dissected every second of the exchange, and think pieces flooded the internet debating everything from celebrity activism to late-night show ethics. Kimmel, in the days that followed, issued a statement calling Meryl an icon and expressing regret if any jokes crossed a line, but the damage was done. What no one knew at the time was how this would impact both careers. For Meryl, the moment cemented her image not just as a legendary performer but as a woman unwilling to be belittled. Offers poured in for interviews, editorials, and even a streaming docuseries on her advocacy work. She declined most, quietly returning to the craft she loved. But the perception shift remained. She was no longer just respected. She was feared in certain circles, her voice too sharp for those who once considered her safe. For Kimmel, the backlash stung deeper than expected. Loyal fans accused him of setting a trap, and ratings dipped in the following weeks. Executives met behind closed doors. His show went on, but the shadow of that night lingered. Backstage crew who had worked with him for years said they'd never seen him so shaken. It was supposed to be fun. He reportedly said off camera, "I didn't know she'd take it like that," but others argued he should have known. Meryl Streep wasn't just any guest. She was a titan, and you don't poke a titan unless you're prepared for the consequences. Writers on the show reviewed scripts more carefully after that. Bookings became more cautious. There was a sense of eggshells in the air. Kimmel joked about the incident occasionally in monologues, but it always landed awkwardly, like he was trying to laugh away a bruise that still throbbed. Meanwhile, Meryl, when asked about it during a quiet interview months later, merely smiled. "I said what I needed to say," she told the reporter. "Sometimes the truth makes people uncomfortable. That's not my problem." The journalist asked if she'd ever return to late-night TV. "Maybe," she said. "But I'll bring my own cue cards next time." It was classic Streep, sharp, poised, and unbothered. The incident faded gradually from the headlines, but clips remained online. A reminder that even in the polished world of celebrity interviews, authenticity still has the power to disrupt. And in a world where everyone wants a viral moment, Meryl's walk-off became the rare example of one that didn't just make noise, it made a point.